so feel free to be on either side. Cameron's on ready? Clint? Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Georgia Tech interim head coach Brent Key. And Coach, if you could open us up with some remarks looking ahead to Georgia this week, and then we'll take questions.
Yeah. My daughter showed up at practice and surprised me, so she rode back up here with me and was running around the office in there. So I was trying to make sure my wife came back up there so she wouldn't run around by herself. That's why I was a couple minutes late coming out. So had a really good practice today after the win on Saturday night. It was good to see the guys come back out today and have good focus, good energy, getting ready to go into the game this week. After a really good win on Saturday, kids played their tails off. They played for the entire game. Truly a 60-minute football game, and to have the ups and downs within the game, it was really a testament to those kids' character and their and the grit that they have, and how hard they want to play for each other and how much they love playing for Georgia Tech, and then be able to get the ball there at the end and close the game out on offense the way you're supposed to end a football game. It was really satisfying win, and really happy for those kids and the success they were able to have. But it's on to a new one this week. We had a huge challenge in front of us. Play the #1 team in the country at their place. They've got a solid football team all around. He's done a really good job of recruiting and developing talent there. They have a good staff. They're coached well. They're in the right spots. Good players, and it'll be a really good challenge for us. So excited to continue to get ready this week and get ready to go over there on Saturday and play a football game.
Okay, we'll go ahead and start with questions. Rob, you want to start?
You mentioned earlier in the year you were looking for your team to become a more physical team. Do you feel in that game against North Carolina, especially in that second half, they really played that kind of ball you were looking for?
Yeah, they did. There were spurts in the game where they really showed to be a physical group of guys, and that's something we've challenged our guys with for the last 2 months, is to become a physical football team. Not just the lines of scrimmage, but the way we run the football, the way we stop the run, the way we cover kicks, the way we block on the perimeter, the way we take on blocks in the secondary with DBs. All of those things, the way we finish on the quarterback, finish on the ball carrier on that side of the football. And that's something we've been really demanding our guys to get better at, and they've taken it on. There's been spurts up and down throughout the season, but they showed some consistency with that on Saturday. There's still a lot of areas we've got to improve on, though. There's a laundry list of things that we had on Sunday that we pinpointed and brought up to the guys and showed them in the film, and got back to work on today to really correct them and improve on a lot of things.
First, did your daughter offer any input on game planning this week at all?
Yeah, she did. She's pretty good. She's a big fan of running the ball, but she's gotten more into the new age things. She loves the reverses, gadgets. She wants to put in. She brought this thing up to me. She was on the field and she saw Tyson and Zach, and she said, hey, I see the boys. That's what she calls all the guys on the team. And she wants both of them to be at the game at the same time. And one of them be on a route, one of them be able to throw, and then kind of double throwback reverse passes. That's all her idea. So if you see it on Saturday, it's Harper's idea.
Sorry, how old is she?
4.
4, okay. She hasn't drawn X's and O's for you on a piece of paper yet?
Yeah, it's kind of she's accustomed to it pretty much all the time around the house. So she can't get away from it.
I know it's hard to talk about this in the middle of a season, but is it possible for you to take a step back just and talk about what this experience has been like for you to go through this, what you've learned about yourself?
We have a game against the #1 team in the country on Saturday.
Have you learned about anything about yourself as a coach at all?
Oh, yeah, you learn every day. I've learned for 22 years I've been a coach. You self-assess. That's one of the hardest things to do in life, is to self-assess and be honest with yourself. And, you do it, to be able to do that every single day, it's only going to make you better as a coach, as a person. And that carries over to the rest of your life, too. It carries over to being a husband, being a son, being a father, be able to self-assess, admit when you made mistakes, learn from your mistakes. All the same things we ask our football players to do. We have to do that as coaches as well. And if you don't, if you don't do those things, you're just being a hypocrite. So you've got to be able to do the same things and take on challenges the same way you ask your players to, because it's the right way.
Okay.
When you look at Georgia, kind of a lot of good players, obviously both sides, but what sticks out to you the most?
A lot of good players. It's not just a collection of good players. It's a collection of good players playing good football. They play sound. They play well together. They do a good job of game planning and scheming week to week versus the different opponent, whether it be offense or defense. They're really sound in their special teams, have a good kicker, able to control the vertical field position with their kicking game. Offensively, they've got some really good weapons on that side of the ball that are unique to college football nowadays. Very rarely do you see a group of tight ends that are that explosive yet able to block and do the things that they're able to do, and then good collection of running backs. So, and then they've got some receivers that can they can hurt you.
Over here, Mike.
I know that some people say just the faces and numbers change, but are there some minor differences you're seeing in what they're doing with this defense? And specifically, can you also talk about what Jalen Carter's reemergence for them has meant for their defensive line?
I mean, he's a tremendous player. I mean, you can put him in any scheme you want. I mean, he can play the block. He can go around a block. He can get caught on a rundown thinking it's pass or vice versa and still be able to make the play. So he's just got an uncanny ability to find the football, to be around the football. And he's got a lot of God-given ability, but they do a good job developing those guys as well, within the program. So, defensively, they're going to line up and they're going to do what they do. They mix up between their mint front and their four down front, but they're going to keep you honest by the way they stem the front and move them pre-snap. So they're going to keep you honest from being able to run the schemed four down runs or the schemed mint runs or protections that you would normally do versus that type of team. So they've evolved over time, but at the end of the day, they're going to play really good sound football on that side of the ball.
You've had quite a few players earn ACC honors since you took over. White last week, Zach Pyron, Charlie Thomas, Gavin Stewart. Just how have you guys been able to get so much out of your players since you took over? Well,
individual awards don't come unless the team is having success. So as happy as you are for the individuals that get those awards, it's really a more congratulations to the entire team. It's a view of how the entire team is playing because you can have some great players on the team, but if they're not collectively playing well together, those guys aren't going to get those honors.
Go.
Given it's Thanksgiving, what are you thankful for? I think I know the answer to this, but just kind of what goes through your mind this week other than football?
I'm thankful for my daughter, thankful for my wife, my mother. My mother's been able to see some games here this year. Thankful for having a job, thankful for my family, thankful for these guys, thankful for how hard they play, thankful for the coaching staff, thankful for turkey on Thursday.
Coach, I know Kirby mentioned yesterday that you guys were at school at the same time, so you were both a part of this rivalry at the same time, and just kind of wanting to get your sense of the rivalry. And do your players have a sense of it? Do you find you're explaining it to them, or do some of them have a sense of just this rivalry over time going back 20, 30, 40 years?
Yeah, I mean 20, 30, 40 years, and it's a rivalry now. It's two in-state schools that have a chance to play on Thanksgiving weekend. I mean that's what rivalry weekend was created for. There's a reason why there is so much history behind it between the legendary coaches that have coached in this game, the legendary players that have played in the game, from Coach Dooley on their side to Coach Dodd, and moving forward to all the Coach Curry and Coach Ross, and just legendary games that have come down to the end, and just the history involved in it probably is something that people our age get caught up in a little bit more because we're old. But anytime you get a chance to play somebody on a Saturday, that majority of the team at some point in time in their life has grown up playing against each other, whether it be in high school, whether it be in Pop Warner, whether it be on nowadays the recruiting trips that a lot of these kids get to know each other on. There's a huge sense of pride to be able to go into this game and compete against each other. So it's a game that it's easy to say this is the next game on the schedule, but it's Georgia, and we're Georgia Tech, and that's why you come to school here, is to play in this football game. And to be able to sit here and be able to coach in this football game, it's an honor. And I'm really, really excited to get out there and get these guys out there and play on Saturday.
Okay.
Can I ask you about Andrew Thacker and just the job he's done? Particularly since the change, the defense has started playing so much better. I'm curious kind of what he's been able to do to affect such improvement.
Yeah, I mean, he's done a good job of scheming things up, putting a good plan together, attacking the weaknesses in certain offenses, different parts of the offense, taking players out of the game. Given the plan throughout the week, I think that he does a really good job of that, of taking the message of the coaching staff and the message that I give them on Sundays, and that we want, and filtering that into the team. That's where Thack does a great job. He's really, really smart. He understands what hurts certain things, from a defensive standpoint to that offense. And the thing that I've seen, up close and personal now for the last 8 weeks, when you can take a certain player out of the game, like last week, and but then when you do that, you've got somebody else that's going to be one-on-one the whole game. You've got one or two people that are going to be one-on-one the whole game, and you're going to give up some plays. You're going to give up some plays in certain aspects because you're either going to be lighter in the box or you're going to be one-on-one to the boundary with in coverage. But being able to challenge those guys that have those responsibilities and coming up with a plan to help those guys as well and not put them in position to fail. He's done a really good job of it.
Kelly.
I think one of the things that's been most impressive during your interim stint is your ability and the staff's ability to get the guys to focus on the task at hand and not letting the game be bigger than what it is. Obviously, playing the number one team in the country, that can be a lot. But how do you guys make that happen? Make kids tune that stuff out? We're in a day and age where everyone's on social media, all those things are going on. How do you get them to focus like that?
Yeah, I mean, there's just 10 spots higher than last week. So, I mean, it's not hard. It's challenging, but it's who we are. It's what we do. It's the way you're supposed to do it. It's the way you're supposed to do it. You can't look forward, and that's our message every single day. One play at a time, 60 minutes, and once that play's over, you can't do anything but learn from it. I mean, you have to sit back and dwell on something that happened in the past. I mean, you're wasting a lot of time. You could be doing something in the future, and that's the way we go about everything. That's the way I try to live my life, and that's the way the coaches try to live their lives. And when you can be the example to these young men that you're actually doing what you tell them to do, there's going to be a lot more buy-in. And it's an everyday thing, though. It's an everyday way of life that we live here. And when you can live every aspect that way, and it's preached and ingrained into your core belief system, then you go out on the field and it happens. Now, it's not an overnight thing, believe me. I mean, but that's the only way to play. It's the only way you can play and have any sort of sustained success. You might have something here, something there, a good play here, a good play there, a good quarter, a bad quarter, but inevitably you're never going to play a perfect game. You're never going to have everything perfect go your way. So you have to be able to put the bad things behind you. You have to be able to put the last play behind you. I mean, every play has a history of life of its own, and you have to live it that way and be ready to move on to the next.
Ken?
Have you had a chance to talk with Jay kind of formally about the full-time job, and if not, is that something scheduled that you're going to be able to do?
No, I'm worried about Georgia. I mean, like I said, we got the number one team in the country, and it's the biggest challenge in my life right now is taking this group of men over there to Athens at 12 o'clock on Saturday.
Go. David, back here.
Going back to Thanksgiving week, Coach, what's your
I can hear you.
What's your ideal Thanksgiving meal and what's your go-to?
All right, we got enough time left. All right, so I love turkey, all right, but I've got into the different types, whether it be smoked or fried or whatever. I like a good smoked turkey with fully injected, brined and injected. Sides, my mom and my wife do a really good job. I mean, obviously I was raised in raised in Alabama, raised in the South, so from the mac and cheese, the broccoli casserole I really, really like. My mom's broccoli casserole, sweet potato pie, or sweet potato casserole. A lot of casseroles. Now the dressing is probably my favorite, and it's not stuffing, it's dressing. So, but the dressing with the cranberry sauce, homemade cranberry sauce. All right, giblet gravy on top, and you got to put some hot sauce on top of that. All right, at least one type of good green, either collards or turnips, usually with ham cooked in them. I'm a turkey guy on Thanksgiving, but the ham hot cooked with the greens, and then a good vinegar-based hot sauce with that.
That's it. From Michael, and then we'll wrap up with Jen.
Yeah, Coach Kirby mentioned you two had a relationship off the field. Can you elaborate on what's your relationship like with Coach Smart? And then what did you take from, I guess everyone takes a lot from coaching at Alabama, but you specifically that you can apply right now?
Yeah, me and Kirby have known each other for 20, 25 years. We played against each other. We were in school at the same time, him at Georgia, me here at Tech, and having played against each other, having had mutual friends at that time where we became friends, and then recruiting on the road against each other together, over the years, and then just times over the summer where families would be together in the same area, same spots, same places. So it goes back a long way. But he's a good football coach. He's done a heck of a job at his alma mater, and looking forward to going out there and going against him on Saturday. But going against him a bunch. As an offensive line coach, so things going from Coach Saban, it's kind of an endless list. But the organization, discipline, accountability, the work ethic, the drive, the ability to put a lot more hours than you think you can put into a day. But to do that, you have to be very organized. You can't be all over the place. You have to trust people. You have to trust the people on your staff. You have to have structure, and then how to build a tough physical football team. All those things are things that I've learned from coaches I've worked for in the past.
Jeff.
First, I have a really good Cajun smoked turkey recipe for you if you want it.
I've heard about those. All right, I've heard the Cajun smoked turkey is legit.
We'll do a press conference on it next week.
Okay.
I hate to take you back like 6, 7, 8 weeks, whatever, but could you just sort of reiterate what your messaging was to the players at that time in terms of what you wanted from them, expected from them, and then talk about how well they've followed that up?
Yeah, I told the players it was very short, very quick. Was number one, I was going to be extremely black and white with them, very direct, very open, and very honest. Then I wanted them to have ownership in this football team. And with ownership, though, they needed to understand what comes with ownership. And with player ownership comes two things. Number one is accountability. Right? And if you're going to be accountable for something, you have to also be responsible for it. And you have to be responsible and accountable for the good and the bad. And when you have player buy-in like that, when they do have ownership in the team, they understand that responsibility now when things don't go well, whether it's on the field, off the field, in the classroom, that they're accountable for it. And it's one thing just to say it, but it's another thing to actually let them live it and have a part of that. Well, they think it's all fun and games until something does go wrong, and now comes that the self-responsibility, and they've got to be accountable for it. Whether it be extra sprints after a practice for a false start, or up downs for a fumble, or whatever else it would be for missing class. That accountability that goes along with ownership really becomes a two-way street. And when you have that sort of buy-in, you really you start to flip the mold from the coach-led, player-driven to now you have a player-led organization.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, thanks, guys. Thanks.
We'll see. If I don't see you guys tomorrow, happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Hope to see a bunch of you tomorrow.
Happy Thanksgiving, guys.